For the door, going to be using phthalo blue. It doesn't matter if it's red shade or green shade, and ivory black or black, and a bit of white. So we're going to do the first layer by mixing both. Just put a bit of white, not too much, and it doesn't have to be even. So if you are mixing and you get a different tone, that's okay. It doesn't have to be even. It doesn't have to be exactly the same color every time you mix it. I'm gonna go over the design on the door again. Whatever you get there, you can. I don't want to paint the whole door. I'm just gonna keep a bit of that design showing through. For the inside, for this part, let's keep it. Just go over it if you don't want to do this design. If you want to, just go over it. And then we'll put the design over. We'll put the pattern actually over that. I will be sending you the pattern, so there. This is what I'm doing. Now, even if we do this and we leave it, then at least we can, you know, we don't have to do the pattern in the middle today. We can actually work on the frame.
So you're painting right over that?
Yeah, I painted right over it. It doesn't matter because I can always put one. I'm going to simplify this door design as much as I can. Don't go too light because we still have to highlight this. So whatever you're putting, any color you're putting, don't put it too light. Don't put a color that you can't highlight. Your value should be, you should be able to highlight after.
You're leaving a deliberate gap so you can see.
Yes, just a tiny bit so I can see where the I can see where
Ooh,
the
I forgot
frame.
to do that.
That's okay, it doesn't matter. You can put it later on, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna give you time.
Okay, where did you, wait a minute, what am I done here?
You want me to
Oh,
pause it?
so is that just a little bit darker, the frame outside than the one inside?
No, 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 no. I'm just remixing the color here.
Okay.
And sometimes I get a bit of a darker color. That's why I'm saying it doesn't matter. Don't worry about that because we are going to be highlighting most
Right.
of this, so it doesn't matter what you get, as long as it's not a very big difference. You know, it's like too dark, way too dark, or, you know, sometimes what I'm doing is I'm just pulling a bit of white, putting it in with the corner of my brush, just put it in, and then I'm painting, and then you know, I just check and see what the value is, what the color is. Is it too dark, too light? If it's too light, I adjust. I make it a little bit darker, but it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, the same color. If you look at the reference on the original door, it's not 100%. And I did this on purpose, you know, just kind of make it look like it's a painted wooden door. And I didn't want it to be perfect. The gap I'm leaving, I'm going to be using this gap for, you know what, I'm going to go over the handle. I'm going to, this line that you see in between the frame and the door, we can leave it, or we can add a small line in there with the frame color, but a bit lighter, or we can just do it frame, the whole thing frame. I like the doors, when I paint my doors, I like them to be narrow and long. I don't like them to be wide. I find them, I find that they look a little bit more elegant when they're narrow and long. So that's why I'd rather have a wide frame than having a wide door. A wide frame looks nicer. More, it frames the whatever you know, the door, it frames it in a nice way. So this is my first layer. I'm gonna pause the video right now so you could just work on it, and then we will with a pencil crayon or whatever you have, a lighter color, maybe a white pencil crayon, we will put the inside panel so we can make it dark, you know, start highlighting, and I'll explain to you. I'll explain how we can do that. We're going to do this, okay? Right, so now we have the masking tape. I masked where I want to highlight. I actually masked the area right here, the inside panel. I mask that one here, so I can highlight the frame of the door, not the frame, the outside of that panel. So I'm going to take black and phthalo blue and put some white in it. Don't put too much white right away, because white takes over quickly. You know, you just kind of end up with a very light color, and you don't have room to highlight more after. So we want to work slowly on this. Slowly. Here we go. That's a good color. And then I'm going to come here. I'm going to leave part of that door here dark, and that's the shadow of the frame. You don't want to put the frame too close, or the highlight too close to the frame, because then you'll end up with a door that is on the same level as the frame, which is fine. But
I missed something here.
even if you do this, it will be fine, like that. Now I'm going to do the same here, but I didn't put a line, but I'll just kind of gauge.
Before you do that, Leo, I sort of missed that first, I taped it off with the 3 tapes. And what,
Yeah.
did you paint that darker? Is that darker on the inside underneath that?
Okay, hold on. I'm going to pause, and then I'll answer your question. Right, so now I have, we have a highlight on both sides of the door. I'm going to highlight the bottom part. Same idea. And this is going to dry darker. So now I'm going to switch to a round brush. And I'm going to start highlighting upper part of the door with the round brush. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to highlight as if, or highlight it organically. Like don't worry about a specific shape. This is where the tree is casting shadow over the door. I'm going to do this step and then I'm going to stop. So what I do is usually I highlight a little bit more. I add a bit of more white to the blue, and I highlight the top part kind of slightly lighter than the bottom door, bottom part of the door. So I have here really nice kind of lighter blue. Drag it down, and then just kind of let it go. Don't highlight all the way down. Same here on this side. Okay. Now, same idea in here, inside the panel, but I'm going to stop right now. I'm not doing this. I'll let you finish, and then we'll do the inside of the panel. All right, so now I mixed blue and black with white, and I'm going to start highlighting the inside panel. And you see that what I'm doing is I'm leaving a very thin line of dark blue between the outer frame, or this blue frame, and the inside of the panel. Because again, this panel is kind of pushed in. And I'm going to go down slowly. Same on this side. Now, the more I go down, usually what I do is I darken a bit, but that's okay. We'll just leave it for now. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to do that here. Just take the same color and highlight this part. So this part looks the same as this one here, because they're both right next to each other. And you see that my line is not straight. It doesn't have to be really, it doesn't really have to be that straight. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't look like you use a ruler. This is good. All right. We're going to keep this dark because we're going to use it for the pattern that we're going to be putting here next week. Clean my brush, pick up some blue. Now, again, with this one, I'm going to be highlighting from, see that white line? I'm going to keep away from it. And all around, not only the same as I'm, here. So only these, only this, and here. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to leave a line in there. In this painting, what I did is just because I didn't have a really proper lighting with the reference, the original reference. So to make my life easier when I'm painting, I did it in a way that the sun is hitting from top to bottom, not sideways. So it's easier this way. And you'll see in a minute why it's easier. I'm going to highlight this a bit down here. Just a bit, not much, just a couple of brush strokes. And here too. This point, I'm going to take a round brush, dip it in water, take white, or actually before, take that round brush and take black, just black. The reason I'm using black is just because this area here is in the shadow. I still need to show the shape of the upper part of the door, but because it's in the shadow area, I need to use black. Could be black and blue or just dark blue, but just because it's phthalo blue, it's a bit too turquoisey, I'm using black. Now, for the bottom part, I'm going to take white, more white, round brush, more white. And if you want the top part, this part, or this panel to be straight, then we can put a highlight right here. If not, if we're going to do something, a movement in here, I'm going to leave it for now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to take blue and white. Hopefully I have enough water on my brush, so my brush flows, like works really kind of easily. And I'm going to do this. So you get that, usually what I do is you get that 3D kind of more of it where the light and the shadow is. It makes the door looks much better. Usually what I do is I do a dark, one side dark and the other side light. That means that the sun is coming, let's say if the sun is coming from the right, the left, then I would highlight this part and this part and this part and this part. It looks like an L. And I keep the other side darker. But I think we'll just keep it like that for now. The original part, the original one, doesn't really have much of light in there. It's just a no specific light. It was just a cloudy day. So that's what I'm using as a reference. Now, this is kind of dry, so I'm going to go back. I'm using a smaller brush, more white. I'm going to take a bit of black in here because it's turning to be too turquoisey for me here. I'm going to add a bit of more black. Make it a little bit more gray kind of blue. Okay, more white. Because this is going to dry darker anyway.
So would you say that's just a little bit lighter than the
Yeah,
frame?
it's a little bit lighter than what I had before. Is that what your question is? No?
I got it.
It's not completely dry, the layer underneath. So it's sticky, a bit sticky. So I'm adding a bit of water now to my paint, to my brush. Need more water. It will dry darker. This is acrylics, so I always have to make sure that even if it looks too light at this point, it will dry darker. Just like now, like a dry brush, just putting in a couple of brush strokes. Good.
Mhm.